WNBA free agency is officially underway, Annie. So when you see these names and the options that the Sky have, what do you think that they're cooking up?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because Angel and Camilla are very interesting pieces. And when you're talking about, getting the right players in here, there is intrigue when you have young core pieces like that, because you could be part of developing them and developing towards a title contending season. But the reality is the Sky are still very far from.
Angel Reese sat down on her podcast brimming with confidence, boldly declaring that she was building a powerhouse in Chicago. But fast forward to the present and the reality could not be more different, as free agency has been in full swing while Chicago's roster remains strikingly empty, with top free agents looking at their options and taking a hard pass on the Sky, as not a single all-star has been convinced to join the team. While
you don't get told no, like you're gonna get the yeses, you're gonna get more yeses than nos, and just being able to know that. So I'm excited for that. I know that's gonna come.
Other franchises have loaded up with top-tier talent, leaving Chicago scrambling for answers, and free agency was supposed to be Reese's chance to help build a championship-caliber squad, especially after all the recruiting she did at Unrivaled. Yet instead it is turning into a painful reality check that exposes the gap between her ambitions and actual outcomes. Angel Reese confidently proclaimed,
"The whole city is obsessed with you."
I know, I love it
all
here.
the time.
I feel like Baltimore here. I love it.
Kind of, a little bit, a little DMV action. But Chicago is a number 3 market in the country.
Really?
It's New York, LA, and then Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago, y'all have everything. I'm not gonna lie, y'all have everything here. Like, it's nothing here that I'm like, oh, I gotta go to a different city for it. Like, everything is here.
that she was going to build a super team in Chicago, but now that free agency is here, the only thing the Sky have built is a roster full of question marks. So picture this, Reese scrolling through her contacts, firing off messages and making calls, yet every time she checks her phone, there is nothing but unread messages and polite rejections that underscore how far the organization still has to go.
Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso too have brought relevance to this team that they've desperately needed in a time when, again, if not for them, they'd be completely irrelevant because of the product that they're putting on the floor.
And also make Chicago an attractive spot when you have Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso right there, two bigs that really shine in the room.
You would think that with so many top-tier free agents on the market, at least one of them would be heading to Chicago, right? Wrong, because the silence has been deafening, with no blockbuster signings, no excited tweets, and no championship-caliber players packing their bags for the Windy City. Just Reese left wondering what went wrong as her grand vision continues to crumble. Let us take a look at the names that were available. Kelsey Plum.
Well, lads, this is not great news, for the Chicago Sky, who are a team that obviously they're rebuilding. This is a team that is 100% rebuilding. The problem is they don't own their pick. So if the Chicago Sky run it back, they're probably not making the playoffs next year. Look, I think there's going to be an improvement from Angel Reese. I think it's going to be an improvement from Cardoso. But that team with no Kennedy Carter, it's going to be real tough to get any offense.
Jewel Lloyd, Brittany Griner, Alyssa Thomas, Dewana Bonner, Natasha Howard, Sada Sabali, and Kelsey Mitchell. The kind of players who can change a franchise overnight, and how many of them seriously considered Chicago? Not a single one, so maybe there was still a chance. Maybe Reese had something planned that nobody saw coming, but now that most of the big names have found new homes, it is undeniable that Chicago was not a destination for top talent, making Reese's grand recruiting plan not just a failure but a complete disaster. To me,
not a good day for the Chicago Sky. Not a good day at all, because we have heard news from the journalist who reports on the WNBA, and because she is not a homer like a lot of the other people, like normally journalists are complete homers for one team, one of the actual credible journalists reported on something. Sky fans aren't happy. They all want their fire.
To make things worse, the Sky front office did not do Reese any favors either, as their leading scorer, Kennedy Carter, did not even receive a qualifying offer, sending a clear message that Chicago is not serious about keeping its best players, let alone attracting new ones, and those trade rumors went nowhere fast, almost as if the moment Reese tried to sell free agents on the super team vision, they could not run away fast enough.
He had an incredible season for us last year, says the GM. She's extremely talented and is a player that can impact the game at the highest level in our league. We absolutely appreciate all she did for our team last year. However, we've made changes to our staff and we'll make changes to our roster. Those changes impact Kennedy's fit on the team, so we wanted to give her the best opportunity as a free agent.
So where does this leave Angel Reese, the so-called superstar who was supposed to bring elite talent to Chicago? Well, she might be leading a team of role players and rookies instead, and this is not the powerhouse she imagined but rather a harsh wake-up call that forces her to confront the gap between expectation and reality.
Angel Reese, did she just run a coach out of town, and is she running a player out of town? Their best shooter out of town? Because Kennedy Carter looks like she's ready to book it out of Chicago.
While Angel Reese was hyping up Chicago as the next WNBA powerhouse, the actual top free agents were making moves that left the Sky in the dust, so picture a frenzy of signings across the league with superstars landing in places that had everything Chicago lacked: stability, leadership, and a real chance to win. First,
Storm are sending Jewel Lloyd to the Las Vegas Aces in a blockbuster 3-team trade that moves Kelsey Plum to the LA Sparks. That's according to ESPN. As part of the deal, Seattle receives the second pick in this year's WNBA draft from LA in exchange for the Storm's number 9 pick, while the Aces also receive the 13th pick, a second-round selection from the Sparks.
Of Kelsey Plum, the sharpshooter who played a massive role in Las Vegas's back-to-back championships, and she is heading to Los Angeles, meaning the Sparks just became a serious contender. And why LA over Chicago? It is simple: elite coaching, a front office that actually knows what it is doing, and a franchise that is not in complete chaos, all of which Chicago currently cannot offer. Sorry, Angel, but if that stung, what happened with Jewel Lloyd had to be downright humiliating, as Lloyd, a Chicago native, had the perfect opportunity to return home and play for her city, and if playing with Angel Reese was so appealing, this was a no-brainer, right? Wrong, because Lloyd took one look at the Sky situation and bolted straight to Las Vegas, where she will be teaming up with Aya Wilson, choosing to chase championships over whatever mess is brewing in Chicago. Then,
According to WNBA Insider, that Illinois native Jewel Lloyd will not be going to Chicago Sky. And obviously they didn't keep Kennedy Carter, and it's looking like one player obviously that's been in Chicago across her careers because of her Illinois roots is Seattle Storm guard Jewel Lloyd.
there is Brittany Griner, the dominant center who can dunk the ball, heading to Atlanta to join a dream team that just got a whole lot more dangerous, while Alyssa Thomas, the queen of triple-doubles, is now calling Phoenix home, and notice a pattern here. These players did not just
3 big names you gotta know: Alyssa Thomas, Natasha Cloud, Brittany Griner. Let's start with Brittany Griner, joining Alicia Gray and Ryan Howard in Atlanta. Dream team? Brittany Griner was drafted to Phoenix in 2013, so it's kind of about time, and I'm so excited to see what Atlanta turns around this next season, because they really need her. Phoenix is also losing Natasha Cloud and Beck Allen, along with the number 12 pick overall in this year's draft, to Connecticut. Connecticut is giving up the triple-double queen, Alyssa Thomas, and Ty Harris.
to avoid Chicago. They ran toward teams with clear direction and leadership, teams where they could thrive rather than waste time dealing with locker room drama. Speaking of Phoenix, it gets even worse for Angel Reese, because not only did Alyssa Thomas land there, but she will be joining forces with Sada Sabaly, forming a dangerous duo that instantly elevates the Mercury and further highlights how far the Sky are from competing at that level.
Are that golden destination, and I can't help but laugh to the fans and the people online who, and the media commentators, unfortunately, who said that nobody wanted to play in Indiana. That doesn't make any sense.
But here is where the real pain kicks in. While Angel Reese was busy trying and failing to recruit, the Indiana Fever were out here actually building a championship roster, pulling off the ultimate offseason overhaul by bringing in battle-tested veterans like Natasha Howard, DeWanna Bonner, Sydney Colson, and Sophie Cunningham, even stealing Reese's own teammate Brianna Turner right from under her nose, and as if that was not enough, they re-signed Kelsey Mitchell once again, transforming Indiana from a promising young squad into a legitimate title threat, all while Chicago stood still and watched. So what does all of this mean? It means Angel Reese talked a big game, but the real stars were not listening, and not only did these top free agents reject Chicago, but they actively strengthened the teams that will be standing in the Sky's way, almost as if they all saw the warning signs and decided to avoid the drama before it even started. But hold on, because there is one more move that might just be the final dagger in Angel Reese's so-called super team dreams.
I give myself some grace because I know I'm not the player that I want to be just yet, but also kind of patting.
Angel Reese, once boasting about turning Chicago into a super team, now finds herself staring at empty lockers and unanswered texts, as the reality is setting in and her dream of recruiting top-tier talent is turning into a nightmare, starting to feel less like an all-star squad and more like a pickup team at the local YMCA.
It's just been great being able to see my impact on and off the court, and not just in sports, but just being able to be a cultural impact as well has just been great.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room, or rather the lack of elite talent in the Sky's practice facility. Because did you know that Chicago's current setup is like practicing in a high school gym compared to the rest of the WNBA? While teams like the Fever, Liberty, and Aces are training in cutting-edge facilities, the Sky are stuck in a time warp, and that highly anticipated new facility will not be ready until 2026, which in a league growing faster than ever might as well be a decade away. Things only get worse when you look at their record. Because remember when the Sky were actually playoff contenders? Well, last season,
according to league sources, Weatherspoon had lost the locker room because of a culture that catered to the needs of a few players. Dear Lord,
they collapsed harder than a cheap lawn chair, finishing with 13 wins and 27 losses, their worst record since 2020, and this after adding a so-called generational rookie in Angel Reese, proving once again that hype does not win games. But wait, it gets even messier, as reports suggest the locker room chemistry is as chaotic as a reality TV show. And who is stirring the pot? Angel.
And I can't help but wonder, is that what happened here? Is Angel Reese and the way she wants to play, and I don't know if you've ever noticed her social media post, but she's very me, always. Me. Well, you may have a player that has decided that she's had enough.
Reese, who instead of making Chicago an attractive destination for free agents is repelling talent faster than a bad Wi-Fi signal, with Gabby Williams, whom Reese personally tried to recruit, saying thanks but no thanks, and even Kennedy Carter, who is not exactly known for playing nice, did not hold back her thoughts on Reese before she left.
Throughout the year, WNBA players were demanding to be given credit for elevating the league. Angel Reese claimed that she was along with their pretend friends in the mainstream media. They wanted us to believe that the WNBA was exploding in popularity. They wanted to keep all the credit for themselves while downplaying the impact of the only star in the league, Caitlin.
Speaking of dysfunction, let us talk about the Sky's front office, which is like a revolving door at a fast food restaurant with people coming and going and zero stability. So no wonder WNBA analyst Annie Costabile pointed out that free agents are wary of Chicago's instability, because who would willingly sign up for this mess? So where does that leave Angel Reese and the Chicago Sky?
Now, jealous WNBA players will have the opportunity to earn that credit. Now, players like Angel Reese, they will be given the chance to test their star.
Not in a great place, because while teams like the Fever are building legitimate dynasties, the Sky cannot even convince players to take their calls, making the whole situation feel like watching a slow-motion train wreck that is painful but impossible to ignore.
Yes, it is unrivaled. It is also unwatched. Look, let's be honest, we can sugarcoat it all you want, but if you don't have Caitlin Clark playing women's basketball, or if you're not the NCAA tournament playing women's basketball, you got nothing. Zero zip.
Angel Reese loves to talk about how people tune in for her, but reality just handed her a brutal wake-up call because the numbers do not lie, folks, and the WNBA's biggest draw is not Angel Reese but Caitlin Clark, so let us break it down. Throughout the
Angel Reese may be playing in the league, but who wants to see a goofy 6'6" woman miss layups? Not
here. WNBA players were demanding credit for elevating the league, with Reese claiming she was along with media allies wanting us to believe the WNBA was exploding in popularity while keeping all the credit for themselves and downplaying the impact of the only true star, Caitlin Clark. So picture game night in Chicago where Reese and the Sky are on the court but the seats are emptier than a high school study hall during summer break and TV ratings are barely existent, yet the second Clark and the Fever roll into town, suddenly it is standing room only, making the contrast embarrassing, and while Reese defenders might say she is a double-double machine and a rebounding force, when it comes to collecting fans, not so much, as the Sky's attendance numbers tell a story that is not exactly a bestseller because the demand is just not there for Angel or for the Sky. Then there is unrivaled, the much-hyped 3-on-3 league where Reese was supposed to showcase her star power, but the numbers are in and let us just say they are barely registering a pulse, with less than 100,000 viewers tuning in for Reese's games, meaning six figures were not even necessary to count them, and that is not a typo, folks, as the league that was supposed to be a game-changer is looking more like a forgettable side project. So what does all of this mean for Angel Reese and the Chicago Sky? Pressure, lots of it, because with no big-name free agents coming to help, Reese is going to have to back up all that talk, and the question remains whether she can actually become the face of the league like she claims, or whether she is about to be left holding an empty arena and flipping through TV channels wondering where her audience went. Here is the cold, hard truth. Reese's star power is not filling seats. It is like trying to light up a stadium with a flashlight. It is just not happening, and even WNBA analyst Annie Costabile called it straight by saying that Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso have brought relevance to this team that they desperately needed in a time when if not for them they would be completely irrelevant because of the product on the floor, which translates to the fact that the Sky were already a mess before Reese showed up and her arrival has not exactly changed that, because Chicago needed a real superstar to turn things around, and so far Angel Reese has not been that player. As free agency winds down, Angel Reese is staring down the most important season of her career, because remember when she loudly proclaimed she was building a super team? Well, that dream crashed harder than one of her missed layups, with no all-stars coming and no reinforcements on the way, so now she has one option left. Prove she is a franchise player or fade into irrelevance. But here is the bigger picture. This is not just about Angel anymore, because the Sky's free agency disaster highlights a major reality check for the WNBA, showing that a single player does not build a championship team, as it takes smart front office decisions, elite facilities, and a winning culture, and right now Chicago is failing on all three fronts. So as the new season approaches, all eyes are on the Windy City, and the question is whether Angel Reese can actually elevate the Sky or whether all that out was just empty noise, because if she does not deliver, her WNBA career might be heading for an even bigger,